In the beginning, he sparkled. He was charming, polished like a rare gem you're lucky to find. But fake stones shimmered too. Behind the shine was something darker, something I couldn't escape. I'm Hannah Mossman Moore, and I'm a survivor of stalking, and this is my story. Before all of this started, I was really ambitious. I've always wanted to be a businesswoman and really excited to start my career in fashion. I felt so lucky to have access to the designer showrooms at London Fashion Week, and I was really optimistic about what this experience could lead to. The designer showrooms at London Fashion Week is very safe. It's very friendly and intimate, and you can only enter with a pass. I was ready to be open and social, and my goal was to meet as many people as I could. Actually, a friend of mine walked in, and I really wanted to impress my boss at the time by bringing influential people to her table. And so I called this friend over, and he was with a man. He was very charming and smart and sociable. He said he was very connected in the Asian fashion market, which was exactly the kind of person that I wanted to network with. And so we exchanged emails, and all of a sudden we were going to the best restaurants in London, the best parties. He was introducing me to people like buyers or heads of Selfridges. He made me feel important. When you're a young woman and your dream is to be a really powerful businesswoman, you're attracted to that in other people. It's really nice when you're all of a sudden hanging out with someone who elevates things. And I decided to go to Miami with him for Art Basel. You know, it was just to be in a remote place with someone who you thought you trusted and knew, and then all of a sudden they turn into a stranger, an aggressive stranger. I was so afraid, and I was so, I remember very clearly going into this state of paralysis, but somehow pulled myself together to get out and left half of my stuff and just got in a cab. It was after that trip that I said, never contact me again. And he would try and ask for forgiveness, and I would say no. It's a hard no. And then I received the first parcel. The parcel was full of abstract but personal gifts. For example, a printout of the menu of my favorite restaurant, some nail varnish in my favorite color. It made me feel scared and confused. And then I thought about the personal gifts, the memories that each of those personal gifts related to. And then I realized that the only person who had shared all of those memories with me was him. And then WhatsApp groups started to be created from a fake me. They would add all of my friends and family. It would just be endless messages of all the sort of bad things I had done. He would add himself to the group and play hero and say, "Don't worry guys, I've got this." And then saying to me on the side, "If you want this to stop, I've got the answer." So it was sort of like a plan to get me back. The emails were endless, and they didn't stop. The language that you're receiving every day, that you sometimes glimpse at, that says, "You're a worthless, you're a useless, you're a characterless," it starts to get to you, and you start to actually believe it because you're in such a low place. And everyone's taking a step away from you because they associate you with the drama and the trouble. And because I was so scared, I moved back in with my dad. And the day that I moved, The next morning I woke up and the physical mail had started coming there. That was when I was like, I'm being surveilled, online and offline. I remember my first meeting with the police, and it felt like no one really knew what I was talking about, or that I was almost making it up because the story was so crazy. And they kept closing my case because they would say there's not enough evidence to prove who's behind this. There was a lot of evidence, piles and piles of printouts of emails, but they couldn't prove that it was him behind it. I was constantly trying to find clues and evidence. The nature of the stalking, how paranoid it makes you, tangled up in this web of lies, was really insane. The messages and the stress was too much, so I just stopped communicating and got rid of my phone because it was just endlessly ringing from unknown number. And I think, that was probably my lowest point. I think the police was my only hope, and they kept closing my case. And I think that's why I had to leave the country, because I didn't feel protected being here, and I didn't feel like it was gonna stop. I think I was 26, 27 when I went to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka for me was about gemstones, and I was starting my own jewellery business. I sort of turned it into art and started making jewellery. That was my way of sort of processing the pain and trauma at that time. I met a boyfriend, Dylan, who's amazing. He did not give up trying to ruin my new life. I would receive messages saying how fun it is watching you from my tiny cameras, and he would comment on what I was wearing, or what colour my nails were, or the party that I had just been to, and he would send me a picture of me at that party. I was getting 6 or 7 disgusting, misogynistic emails per day, and so was Dylan, pretending that I was a sex worker. They were booking appointments for me and with new clients in Colombo, and it was this whole sort of fantasy of me being a hooker.
Hi, Hannah Mossman. We're looking for no moral. How was your experience with us with our referred client? Too much piss to drink for you.
We will take over control of your online reputation.
I was so tired. I had to do something. So I decided that I wanted to contact the BBC and put forward my story. And in that same month, the emails that I had been receiving every day for 6 years completely stopped. I believe that they stopped because my stalker was tapped into my emails. The BBC investigation revealed that he was impersonating multiple characters, including his executive assistant, that he frequently lied about his whereabouts, about the properties he owned. He denies everything. He denies all allegations of stalking and harassment and impersonation. I've moved on. I am happier than ever. I have Jean London, my jewellery brand, which is thriving. It's so successful. And I have a really happy relationship. I'm really optimistic about having the goal to halve violence against women and girls, but I'm really conscious that this needs to be a milestone, not a destination. Stalking Protection Order is a really important step. At the end of a criminal case, whether or not the verdict is guilty, there can still be harmful behaviour, and I think it's really important that the victim is protected from that.